Hello, everyone, all you supporters of Connect Africa. My name is Kwame Gonza, sitting in for my sister, Mahlet Beyecha. Thank you for supporting Connect Africa. We're bringing you some special, news this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are sitting, across the globe. Did you know that the World Bank gave a loan to Ghana government, and the Ghana government rejected that loan? The Parliament of Ghana rejected the loan from this World Bank. What we are going to do today is we are going to look at that loan, importantly, why that loan was, rejected. And the other thing which we want to examine also is, have there been instances where loans across the African continent have been rejected for that matter? So sit with me as we navigate this through. So it happens that Ghana has been going through a lot of challenges, including, economic depressions within the country. For all of you who have been following the African continent, Ghana received a $3 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund. But it turns out that behind the International Monetary Fund's loan of 3 billion, of course, which has been given in partitions of $300 million over time. The World Bank also slipped in and gave some loan to the country. Let us look at that loan and what it was for, of course. Now, the article is which appeared in the GBC, on the GBC platform, which is the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, says that the minority in Parliament have voted to reject the World Bank $250 million loan facility for the Ghana Energy Sector Recovery Program. Now, what the World Bank claims, and of course the majority in Parliament also are claiming, is that this loan is going to be used to fund what they call the Ghana Energy Sector Recovery Program. And this program and the activities around it are the problem that the minority rejected. Okay, this is the reason why it was rejected, that the activities around this loan, including the fact that 90 million out of this money, which is $250 million, is going to consultancy activities. And because these loans come with a lot of conditions, then it means also that the World Bank is the one which is going to choose how to use this money. As we have seen yesterday, we were discussing, the issue of a loan which has been given to the Ethiopian government, which is around 3.4, billion dollars, and of course the World Bank also came and gave, about $1.5 billion. But unfortunately, these loans, when they come, it is the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund which gives the conditions upon which that money is supposed to be used, of course, which is very unfortunate in most of the cases. So we are seeing, let me make this screen a little bigger so that all of you can be able to see the reasons why the loan was rejected by the Ghanaian parliament. So the minority in parliament rejected it on grounds of the fact that they said that the money, majority of it, at the consideration of the agreement, the MP of Asawase, who is Mr. Muntaka Mubarak, raised many fundamental issues, including the fact that more than 30 million, $90 million of the aid money will be spent on consultancy alone, forcing the minority to oppose the deal, including using the their voices, on the parliamentary floor. And of course, the majority MPs also came back to justify and say that it was wrong. Of course, this is not completely finished, but it is a good step to show that our parliament can reject these loans and scrutinize these loans first of all, and then come to a conclusion that some of these loans are not good for for our countries. Let me just take you back to one instance which happened in Uganda, of course. Let me see if I can get here. I have an instance which happened in Uganda in which the government of Uganda actually rejected loans which were coming in, and because those loans were predatory in nature, all right, those loans were predatory in nature, in that sometimes the IMF and other institutions come in and they see an economy which is performing well, even though it may have certain weaknesses in certain area, but they want to condemn all the economy. This is what is disheartening, in many cases. So you look at the energy sector in Ghana, for example. Ghana's energy sector is a sector which is performing very well. So they will look at how they can benefit from that. Because remember, these loans, when they are given, they are looking to benefit from them. The World Bank and all these people who are putting money in the World Bank, majorly the United States and the European countries, are looking to gain from these loans. They are looking for interest on these loans. So it is not free help that is normally given to the African countries. Okay, so let us look at one article. Let me see. Stop the screen sharing. All right, so let me look at one instance where the Uganda government, under the president of the country, rejected a loan which was coming from the World Bank and a lot of other institutions. He rejected a couple of loans which were coming from the World Bank and a couple of other institutions. So let us look at it carefully here and see what he's saying. Now, on August, on the August of 2023, the Ugandan president wrote a letter to the general public. In that letter, he pointed out that neocolonial loans are not, helpful to the country. Okay, especially for our countries which are just growing. So he said that these loans, in many cases, they are not helping countries to grow. Many of the loans and aid packages, he said that they are either having no value, they are of no value in addition to, of no value addition to the country, or are even anti-growth altogether. What he's saying is this. You take an example, for example, the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Husbandry and Fisheries. The president discovered that the country had received $800 million, and that money had been borrowed over a period of 10 years. But the ministry did not have even diagnostic labs, laboratories. Okay, they did not have any research centers. They did not have, repair facilities and repair centers for repairing maybe tractors. They had not given even combined harvesters or tractors to, let me say, the farmers. Okay, so this, of course, shocked him. He realized that much of the money was spent on seminars. Okay, so you find that most of the money that comes from these organizations, especially World Bank and the IMF, does not help much. So it is not surprising that over the last 60 years of independence for the African continent, and all the time we have engaged with the International Monetary Fund and the Western institutions, particularly, that we have not benefited much. You ask where the lending mostly has been going, on the African continent, and you don't see where that money has been going. And on the other hand, we have the Chinese on the African continent who come, and with very little of their money, you can see that there's a lot of infrastructure, and those infrastructures which they build for us, or they help us to build. Of course, this should not be the first choice for us as a growing continent. We should build these infrastructures by ourselves, but because of the weaknesses, of course, within the African continent. But the Chinese, when they come, their loans, we find that we see something that has been done from the Chinese loans compared to the Western world, which has been here for over 70 years, on the African continent after independence. And of course, it has been here for more than 600 years, if you put it together, ever since they made contact with the African continent. So you see that their loans are not benefiting. And it is simply because their loans are being concentrated on things that really do not benefit the African continent. You see, so the president went on to say, who then permits the signing of such distortion, and distortion causing agreements to our economy? It is the neo-colonial lobby in the country. So what the president is suggesting is this, is that in the country itself, and even within the ministries themselves of the country, within the government themselves, there is groups of people who are lobbying on behalf of the neo-colonial instruments. So this is what is disturbing. So that is why he is asking now, who then permits the signing of such distortion causing agreements to our economy? It is the neo-colonial lobby in the country, who are doing this behind his back. That is what he said. That is why on the 9th of June 2017, he wrote a directive forbidding the contracting of more loans without the express approval. Now, what happens here is that these lobbies, they work together with some elements within the government, and they infiltrate and they take advantage of the instruments of government. And of course, we are talking about the judiciary, we are talking about the parliament, and we are talking about the executive, because these loans normally go to the parliament. They come through ministries. So the neo-colonial instruments and groups like the World Bank, they infiltrate normally like the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Energy, and people in there about, and they justify loans which do not operate in the benefit of the country. And so this is just an example, when we look at the Ugandan situation. And one of the loans actually which we are rejected, let me see, you can see that even though the president, in 2017 accepted some loans which were coming in, but he rejected some of the loans. Let me look at some of the loans that were rejected. For example, he said that he will reject a $200 million loan for physical transfers and physical management. We do not need a loan in order to learn how to transfer money. All right. I reject the loan of 40 million for the vague target of gender-based violence. How will you know which woman or which women fought with their husband? Let us get equipment for women groups to do maize milling, winemaking, etc. Equipment for value addition, not seminars, not the survivors of violence. If confirmed, if the survivors of violence have been confirmed, then they will be supported with our own budget. So this is, what is interesting about the president's observation, because one of the means in which the neo-colonialists use is to use vague words when you are talking about the loans, how the loans are coming. Because when we go back to the Ghana situation, it is the same thing that one of the MPs in the opposition government, in the opposition, of course, in the opposition party, what he realized, what he saw is that they are using vague statements, to justify these loans. And these loans are not going to be beneficial to the country. So that is what is surprising, on one hand. Let me pull up once again so that we can have a look at these, statements that were used. All right. So you find that a lot of big words have been used, like what we saw within the Ugandan situation, which the president rejected. Of course, they used terms like the loan is being given for physical transfers and physical management. You see, these look like big words, okay? But we need to break it down and understand what is needed, because physical transfers and physical management simply means, is the transfer of money. All right, transfer of money. So the president said that we don't need a loan to learn, in order to learn how to transfer money. So do you really need a loan for that? You need a loan to put up a factory and create jobs. This is what we need. So in the opposite, the World Bank, what it does, it goes in the opposite direction. So it can actually be said that is actually in Africa to promote, corruption. It can be said that the World Bank is promoting corruption on the African continent, and of course in all the other countries of the global south. Let me make it right a little bigger here so that everyone can be able to see what is happening. So after the MPs rejected this so-called loan, the defender, one of the of the ministers, the deputy ministers who brought this bill to parliament, who brought this loan to parliament, that it should be justified, and therefore the World Bank should take this loan and give it to Ghana, and Ghana should accept it, came out to defend. Because remember, the ministers are there to support the government. They are there to defend the government. So the MPs who rejected this, they said that the apportionment of this particular loan does not make sense. The things which have been mentioned, the items to which these loans have been assigned, they do not make sense. They look like consultation activities. And as we saw, that 90% of this money, 90 million of this money, which is around 250, was going to these particular activities. Now, let us break down some of the things which he mentioned. What did he mention? In addition to that, part of the 90 million was for the enhancement of data management systems. All right? Enhancements of data management systems. Now, if you look at this is not something that you say this can be tracked with key performance indicators. All right. So if you say that you're going to enhance data management systems which are already existent, which are already in place, do you really need a loan from the International Monetary Fund or from the World Bank for the Ghana energy industry, which is, of course, they are talking about the electricity generating company, which is a government institution. Of course, the existing government wanted in the past to sell it, but it failed because of the public outcry in the country. Now, the World Bank is using certain techniques to get into these particular institutions, and they are saying that they are coming to enhance data management systems. The company already has its own data management systems, and actually the electricity generating company of Ghana is one of the most profitable government institutions in the country, for that information for people to understand. So if they were able to put up a data management system which is profitable, do you really need a loan to enhance? So these are the questions which of course the MPs asked in parliament. Do you need a loan to enhance data management? And how are you going to enhance that? Of course, it's going to be training. And what we are seeing is that the World Bank is the one which is going to bring the people who are going to train. And this is going to be consultation. Okay, the World Bank is the one which is going to choose who's going to use that. So that is number one. Number two, they say they are going to strengthen. The other item on which they are going to spend this money, this huge money, is strengthening the commercial, strengthening of the commercial information system. So remember, I told you, from the previous example which I gave you of what happened in Uganda, of the loans which were rejected in Uganda. It's the same thing which is being used here. They are using vague terms, vague statements. Okay, they are using a lot of vague statements like strengthening the of the commercial information system, which really does not mean any any sense. Doesn't make any sense. In real terms, that do you really need a loan to strengthen your commercial information system? This is again consultation, because this is what the MPs rejected, the members of parliament rejected. is because they said this is consultation. 90% of the money is going to consultation. It's not going to be benefiting the country in any way and the public. So they want to spend $10 million on the so-called strengthening of the commercial information system. Okay, that is number two. Now, number three, let me bring you one more. They say that they want to use, for the improvement, the associated ICT, improvement of the ICT systems for operational efficiency of the electricity, generating company of Ghana. They want to say that they want to improve the ICT systems. The ICT systems, which are there, they are saying that they are not, they are not efficient. Therefore, we need to improve them. So we need to go and get a loan. Do you really need to get a loan for a profitable company already, for a company which is really profitable? So this is the questions which these are the questions which arose in when it came to the members of parliament about this situation whereby they rejected these loans and said it is unacceptable to say that we want to use these vague terms, justify these huge amounts of money and load, these loans onto the taxpayers and say that we are improving anything. It shows that we are not improving anything actually in reality, because all this money is going to be spent on consultation fees and consulting with the World Bank, because the World Bank is the one who is going to determine how this money is going to be used. And therefore, that is why we see that the members of parliament rejected it, because 90% of the consultation fee, 90 million of the 250 million was going to be used for consultation. So this is the very reason why the members of parliament rejected the loan. Now, but I want us to go back a little bit, to Nkrumah and look at what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah warned us about when it comes to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Let us look at what Nkrumah says when it comes to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. These institutions, which of course are around very much. Nkrumah warned us in 1965. I'm reading from Nkrumah's book, Neocolonialism, the Last Stage of Imperialism, in a chapter called The Mechanisms of Neocolonialism. Look at what Nkrumah is saying. Nkrumah is saying that still another neocolonial trap on the economic front has come to be known as multilateral aid through international organizations. The international organizations, which are the International Monetary Fund, the International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, also known as World Bank, the International Finance Corporation, and the International Development Association are examples, all significantly having the United States capital as their major backing. These agencies have the habit of forcing would-be borrowers, which are our poor countries, to submit to various offensive conditions, such as supplying information about their economies, submitting their policy and plans to review by the World Bank, and accepting agency supervision of their use of loans. For this is a trap, as Nkrumah has warned us, that these are the results of us entering into these kind of arrangements. But it is important, of course, to support some of these MPs, and whatever at least the presidents make reasonable steps and take reasonable steps to reject, okay, the interference of these neo-colonial organizations. But what I want to ask is, if you are out there and you are an African, what do you think that should be the measure that we should take as Africans on the continent? What should be our strategy in combating these institutions going forward? For example, what should we do as Africans, to rid ourselves of these institutions? Is it necessary for us to go back and use our own resources? And how do we achieve this? Because already we have within our governments on the African continent members of parliament and politicians, and especially the ruling class, who are so accustomed to these loans that they don't want us to use our own resources to build ourselves. What do you think should be the strategy that we should use as Africans in order for us to overcome, this problem and this challenge of us being exploited by the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. So put your, suggestions in the comment section. My name is Kwame Gonza, and once again, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad and appreciate everyone who's been watching this segment of discussion about Ghana's rejection of the World Bank's loan, which is $250 million, because it is not clear what that loan is going to be used for the benefit of the country. Thank you so much. I hope to be here once again, and then we'll continue to dialogue. Put your comments in the comment section. Put your suggestions in the comment section, and let us spark up a conversation on what we should do as a people, because honestly we have to do something within this generation. Thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe and to like the video and share it with other people so that they can get this information. This is very important information that should go out there in the African people, so that they can understand, because all over the continent, the people are suffering under the oppression of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund and the general Western world. As you have seen, the events that are happening in Kenya, the events that are happening in Nigeria, all these demonstrations are a rejection of these tactics that are being used by the International Monetary Fund and the West and the World Bank. So what do you think that should be our approach to overcoming the problems that are posed by the International Monetary Fund and neocolonial institutions? Put it in the comment section. Like the video and share it with others. Thank you so much for being part of this segment, and let me see you later.